Welcome, everybody, to the Table Rush Masterclass, where we get back to the marketing and sales basics to help entrepreneurs like you grow your business to $1 million annual revenue and beyond. And today, I have a very special guest, Miss Lisa Randall, and MS. Sorry, what a great introduction. I've totally gone sideways right from the start. I was looking at your website and it says, meet Lisa Randall, MS. So I was like, Miss Lisa, whatever. And Lisa and I have a little bit of a history where we're great friends. Correct, Lisa?
Correct. That is correct.
Awesome. And Lisa, you're a memory specialist. Yes?
That is correct.
Fantastic. And you have a program called Memory Alive, the Memory Alive learning program, which we're going to discuss a little bit. Yes?
Yes.
Fantastic. And you have an education in kinesiology.
If I remember correctly, yes, that is.
Perhaps some gerontology and public health.
Perhaps, yes.
Yes. And gerontology means older than us people.
Oh, study of aging.
Study of aging.
Yes.
Study of aging. And let's see what else. You have delivered engaging and effective transformational memory programs to individuals and small groups, along with corporate and community organizations for many years. And with the fantastic style and flair that is Lisa Randall.
Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic. So our story is you've been a part of my entrepreneurial journey, which is super fun. I'm having microphone insecurity. There we go. Yes. So I started the Bitch Slap Accelerated Path to Peace podcast, and you were actually my very first interview, and we were having so much fun, and we went so deep and talked about so much like deep personal stuff that we kind of came to the conclusion that maybe now's not the time to publish that episode. Correct?
That's how I recall it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
We were talking about woundy things that were like, perhaps some people just don't need to know about this yet. But I'm sure if we talked about it today, it would all be fine. But it was part of my growth experience too, because I was so attached to having that interview go out there that I fought you very hard. And as a matter of fact, I fought you hard enough that I went ahead and somehow manipulated the universe into having it be okay that I just went ahead and published the episode. And anyway, I finally took it down. I was like, man, Misha, you're just like being an asshole. Excuse my language, listeners, but it does happen. Sometimes we can be willful and push envelopes. But you were such a great part of my journey as I'm growing entrepreneurially. So thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome, Misha. Thank you.
What's that?
And thank you.
Yes. And so we thought it would be fun as I'm transitioning out of this more spiritual, ethereal style. I don't know if message is the right thing, but my own journey, I was like, oh, maybe I'll help people find God or whatever. I was like, you know what? I really love business and really talking business and growing businesses and spirituality being expressed through entrepreneurial endeavors. I think that's a much better way to path for me, right? And so you and I were like, gosh, wouldn't it be awesome to sort of have an end bitch slap last interview? Wouldn't it be ironic if the first interview that went nowhere, if you got to be the last bitch slap accelerated path to peace official interview, sort of close that loop. And then at the same time, hey, you have this amazing entrepreneurial spirit that you're embracing now, like you're ready to level up your business, right? Like what we just talked about that you do, and that perhaps you'd put aside some of your, you know, gladly put aside some of your entrepreneurial aspirations, or, you know, PhD aspirations, things like that, so you could grow a family and have some babies and things like that. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
What did
that's
you talk
accurate.
about? Good. Thank you for that dissertation, everybody who's listening. I've just totally co-opted this episode and made it about me. But what the hell? I have a gift. So, Lisa Randall, after that amazing, wonderful, beautiful introduction, why don't you talk to um, you've got this memory alive thing, but that, hey, it's time to why don't you tell us about where you are with it a little bit? I know you teach classes, you're at community centers, or frame what you're doing right now, and perhaps give us a vision of what you hope for.
I absolutely will. Thanks, Misha. And I love how you said, expressing spirituality through entrepreneurial endeavors. I thought that was a really cool way to say it. Kind of, it really articulates well, I think, the transition that you're making, and also what this process of starting this company and teaching what I've been teaching has been for me. That was really, really beautifully articulated, and I appreciate that. And so the process of putting together this memory program started for me when I was working full-time for Scripps Health, and I was working in integrative medicine. And so it was born of a very, scientifically based, pragmatically based foundation of, what is a whole person approach to a better memory? What is a whole person approach to preventing memory loss? And based on the foundation of, all kinds of other programs that I helped to create at Scripps. And when I took it on my own, when I left Scripps and I began working on this program on my own, it was also at a time when my life was transforming. I was going through a divorce, and I was recreating, really kind of transforming as a person. And so this, the topic, the content has shifted in its meaning for me, and it's also translated into a new way that I approach teaching classes. And interestingly, as the meaning has changed for me, and as I have really gotten so much more spiritually focused, I've found that the content that I'm teaching is so much more well received, so much more effective, and I have really found a way to connect with my students and the content on such a deeper level. And that's been a really beautiful thing for me. So, as I've gone through this, over the last several years, through this transformation in my personal life, and as I've transformed the content that I've been teaching, I have, I'm at a place right now where there is a ton of passion behind what I'm doing. And as I continue to see the what I'm producing benefit the lives of the people that I teach, my motivation to do more increases. And so I have people asking me, why isn't this online? Where can I get more information? I have my mom is stressed out about her memory. How can I help her? And there's so many things that I want to do and provide, but I feel inept. I feel at a loss for how to take the content that I've created and the passion that I have for it, along with the new confidence that it's really benefiting others. And how do I take that and move that to a space where I can make it more accessible for others, and also make it more, also build a more secure business out of it as well, so that I can spend more time on it, and so that I can make this a more substantial means of supporting myself and my family.
Fantastic. I love that. Can we touch on 2 points real quick?
Certainly.
So you said you had a shift in here somewhere, partially due to divorce or a realignment of
Mm-hmm.
your identity. Maybe there's a bunch of different ways to say that, but your the way you were teaching, you started to bring in that spirituality. Was that a conscious decision, or was that an epiphany moment? Or tell me about that arc. Does that question make sense?
It does. It does. And I think it was a combination of the two. I think that, I've always been kind of looking for that purpose, right? I've always been looking for what am I? Always been so jealous of friends who have said, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a fill in the blank. Because I have always been like, I want to be but I've known how I want to feel. I know I want to feel like I'm productive. And I know that there are qualities that are intrinsic to me that are useful to others. And I want to use them. I want to have the feeling of knowing that those intrinsic things are benefiting others. And I think that's very common. But some people are really clear on what those qualities are and how to use them. And I've never been clear on either. And so the shift was conscious, and it was also based on epiphanies. And I think that consciously, it's been the knowing of, I want to pursue that passion, but shoot, what is that passion in the first place, right? And I knew I was passionate about this subject, and it wasn't one that I was going to drop researching, regardless of whether or not it was my job, because I'm fascinated by neurology, I'm fascinated by memory, I'm fascinated by the brain, and I'm always going to be looking into that. And I think as my spiritual education, for lack of a better term, as I dove more into spirituality, I think what struck me was the science behind the spirituality that I pursued. So when I read on quantum physics, when I read about, when I looked at David Hawkins and letting go, and the science behind spirituality, it all lined up with the fundamental components of memory and cognition that I was teaching in a really insightful way. And so there were several moments where I had, I did a reading. I had a recognition that, in order to remember better, we must be paying attention. We have to, like, the crux of a good memory is attention. The crux of a good memory is the ability to be present. And I recognize that I can't be present unless I can forget a lot of my old ideas, a lot of my story that prevents me from being emotionally, mentally, spiritually present to the here and the now. And I had that.
Oh, go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
I had that cool epiphany. And then
when was that? Tell me about that epiphany. Was this like your daughter or an ex-husband or some, do you remember the day or the moment? Or
I remember I remember, generally speaking, the idea of like, oh my gosh, I have to forget before I can remember. And I would love to share with you something that I read the very next day after I read this. And it was in a second. Sorry, let me find it. But yeah, it was about 2 years ago. And I think that the bizarre contradiction of forgetting in order to remember struck me, but I knew it was the truth. And then the very next day I read in one of my spiritual books, no one questions the connection of learning and memory. Learning is impossible without memory, since it must be consistent to be remembered. I said before that he teaches remembering and forgetting, but the forgetting is only to make the remembering consistent. You forget in order to remember better. And that's directly from a spiritual text, nothing to do with cognition, with memory, but it did fall into my awareness the day after I had this epiphany about, I gotta forget my old ideas, my story, And that concept of forgetting is essential to the ability to remember, not just for me, but on the whole, and not just in a spiritual sense, but in a cognitive sense. And so with those, these things fall into your awareness at certain times, and you can't ignore the timing of those. I can't ignore the fact that I read that the very day after I had this epiphany. And those are the types of, I would say, affirmations that I've gotten over the course of the last few years that have helped me to know that A, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and B, this is meaningful work outside of just, I want to be smarter, I want to be more cognitively fit. Those are really fabulous goals to achieve to, but there's something bigger and greater that through that desire or through that goal that so many people have. I don't want to lose my memory. I don't want to, I don't want to go through dementia, memory loss, etc. Through that desire to prevent losing our memory, there's a greater message. And whether that message is just for me or for the people that I can bring it to, that gives it so much more purpose for me.
I love that. That's amazing. Can I ask you a question? And I'm going to ask you to perhaps be vulnerable. Are you open to that?
Sure, of course.
Fantastic. So you have this epiphany in the moment. You read in the spiritual text that has meaning to you, brings you connection to source. There's obviously a struggle going on one side of you, and you're trying to break free of a situation, clearly, right? And so then you're like, you have this epiphany. I need to, how do you say it? Forget to remember. I'm sorry. Forget to remember.
Essentially,
right?
I need to forget. Yeah.
Right. And so you're like, and so what is that tension that's driving that? Is it with relationship? Is it with something? There's a tension point that you're trying to break free from. Can you talk to that? Because that's obviously, I think, an important piece of your story right here. It's like, hey, reality is I can be free of this. Everything's coalescing. My gerontology and public health. So I get to, I'm trying to help seniors or people age memory gracefully and retain and grow and strengthen their memories and these sorts of things. And you're a spiritual person, right? Which I love about you. And so you have that lightning bolt moment, you read, but what's the tension point does that make sense?
Kind of. What am I trying to be free from?
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So, and I don't know how specifically I can answer that question, but I think that, I think we can all recognize in ourselves, certain ways that we think, act, and operate that don't serve us, that don't serve our freedom. Right.
Yeah.
And, I certainly have had the ability to look back on my life and recognize, wow, I've certainly made things harder than I have needed to. And all for the sake of protecting how I wanted to be perceived, or how I wanted people to think about me, or how I didn't want to think about myself, perhaps. Yeah. And, I think that there, of course, are always specific situations that I can point to. Yeah. I was kind of redefining myself after a divorce. I was trying to validate myself in a way that, externally I felt I needed to, while, also recognizing that external validation wasn't even available. And also, looking back on an entire lifetime of thought processes that were those that kneecapped me, I kneecapped myself, and I kneecapped my own progress, spiritually and financially, and in terms of my education, and just looking at my freedom was contingent upon letting go of these old ideas. And when it comes to I think when we get in integrity with ourselves, when we get in integrity with what our foundational values are, and with how we're thinking, the words we're using to communicate, and then how we're acting, what are we doing in this life, and is it in integrity with our with what we really believe and what we think? And there was discord there, and I couldn't be present to the moment. I couldn't be present to my kids, to my career, to anything, if I was living in this turbulence that existed in the discord between how I thought things should be, or my ideas about the way things should go based on crap that I had told myself. There's always going to be turbulence there. And I think that was the epiphany of like, wow, I need to forget. I need to forget about my anger towards so-and-so. I need to forget about how I don't think I'm good enough, or I need to forget about how my life should look, like why it's a failed marriage, or a failed career, or I need to redefine all those things. I need to open up my mind to a new definition, a new concept of what success is, because getting into alignment with myself, that's the only measure of success that I want to strive for. And I know that when I am in alignment with my true values, and when I am in integrity, and when I am able to live a spiritual life that holds hands with my career, that holds hands with my relationship, that holds hands with how I raise my kids, that's when that is the only time and place that what I crave in terms of my career and what I offer the community, that's the only place that can grow.
Perfect. You know what? You answered the question beautifully. Thank you for that.
Maybe excessively. Sorry.
That's all right. You know what? We're going to refine that, Lisa Randall. That's one of the things we're going to work on.
Fabulous.
Yes. So tell me, so we've got your memory alive that's come out of this cauldron of change and growth and spirituality, and you're like, oh my gosh, I literally have a vision, right? And so tell me about the Memory Alive program. What are we doing here? What's it doing? Like, you're helping what, seniors? What's going on?
Well, target audience, Misha, is unfortunately you and I. You and I are actually the demographic that can do the most in terms of improving cognition, preventing memory loss. But everyone at any age can take steps towards a better memory, and that's one of the taglines that I use. Everyone at any age. The brain is, as we all know, the brain is plastic, and so we can always make steps to improve the way we think, and learn and grow. So basically, yes, what I do is I teach the fundamentals of this program, which are attention, the improving our ability to pay attention, to be aware, promoting, inviting change into our lives, inviting the ability to have new experiences that do promote neuroplasticity and cognitive reserve, but also joy and experiences that we care to remember. I talk about emotions and the power that emotions have on our ability to remember, and also the power that we have to look to and foster specific emotions. We do have choices over the emotions that we sit in, and also the five. So attention, change, emotion, and sensation. The sensations that we experience, our episodic memory, involves all of our emotions, all five, arguably six of our senses. And so these foundational components make up the Memory Alive program, and I teach them through a series of classes and resources.
Fantastic. And do you have a set number of classes? Is it Yes.
It varies depending on who I am teaching. So there's not currently a set number of classes. And that's one of the things that I'm working to kind of streamline and hone in on.
Oh, fantastic. Good, 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 good. And in a nutshell, I know everybody can perhaps thrive by learning how to, maximize their memory. But like, again, maybe talk to this target market. So you've got people our age in their 40s and 50s, and where you're trying to, excuse me, you're trying to sort of help them at a time when perhaps memory can start to taper off. You're like, hey, let's actually help you thrive with your memory and perhaps stave off memory degradation into our senior years. Am I framing that properly? Is that kind of what
Yeah,
we're
and I would, I think I kind of jokingly said, you and I are the target audience, and we are, but for my business, my target audience is 60s to 90s probably, and it is the older adult who is looking to strengthen their memory. And it could be because there's fears about things that they've forgotten in the past. It could be there's fear around watching a family member or a loved one go through memory loss. And it could be just out of the knowing, hey, I want to stay cognitively robust. What was the second part of your question there, Misha? I'm sorry, I forgot.
No,
Ironically.
I think you answered it perfectly.
Okay.
You said, hey, you're helping, well, it sounded like two things. You're helping people that are in their 60s to 90s stay cognitively robust. And perhaps at the same time, you're helping people who are with somebody who's not cognitively robust and maybe want to know more tools and things like that so they can thrive in that environment. Yeah.
It's all focused on the individual. So I don't really if I'm working with someone who's also a caregiver, my program is for the participant. So there's a completely different set of needs for people who do have dementia or Alzheimer's disease. So a lot of the things that I teach are contraindicated for someone who actually is experiencing more advanced stages of memory loss. So it is very much on the preventative end of things. However, in my humble opinion, I do think that what I am teaching would definitely benefit the mindset of someone who's also working as a caregiver for someone with memory loss.
Great. I love that. But currently with your program right now, it's more for the person that's wants to work on their cognitive. How did you say that?
They want to become more cognitively robust. We are learning.
Thank you.
We're learning better ways to remember, right?
Love
so
it.
If you look at it as kind of continuing education or adult education, people that want to learn how to remember better.
And do you have any, you're having get this online. You need to grow this. You need to expand and get this message out to more people because what you're doing works. Yes.
Right. I would love to be right. Exactly. I have people asking me for things and I am so excited to get more clarity on how to give it to them.
Fantastic. Can I ask you another question?
Absolutely, Misha.
People that are looking at your course that are in their 60s to 90s and they're aware that they've got that they're at the point of they're ready. They're like, hey, you know what? I am ready to work on my memory because I clearly see it's going to help me have a richer life into my twilight years. however you want to say that. I don't mean to put, what's that?
Yeah. Into my 110s or whatever we're going to call this.
Yeah. So
people get so much older.
Like, what's the thing inside of that person that's like, maybe I've lost too much memory to do this program, or what's that thing, that internal thing that you see keeping people from diving into something that can clearly help them?
Yeah, I think that, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's too late for me.
Mm,
That ship has sailed. I'm already losing my memory. What's the point? Old people
mm,
lose their memory. It's a foregone conclusion. Uh, the the self-fulfilling prophecy is
mm,
definitely something that cuts people off from wanting to do the program. Or uh, yeah, I guess that would be my answer to that.
and what would you say to that person? Like you've got this person who's in, let's say they're 65 or 70, and they're like, it's too late. Why start now?
I would tell them that all of neuroscience contradicts their belief that memory loss is inevitable, and that the concept that as I age, I will then lose my memory and forget is one that we buy into. It is not based in science. The brain is plastic. The brain never stops. It never loses its ability to generate new neural connections. We, if let me give you an example. So in our 30s, if we walk into a room and we forget why we walked into a room, we probably laugh and think, "Oh, I forgot why I walked into the room," and we
Yeah.
carry on with our day. If we're in our 70s and we walk into a room and we forget why we walked into a room, we think, "Oh my God, this is it. I'm getting Alzheimer's disease." And our cortisol level goes through the roof. And now we're stressed out, which is the kryptonite to our memory. It literally erodes the hippocampus in the brain. And we have now planted the seed in our mind so that the next time that we have a mental lapse that we may have experienced in our 20s, 30s, 40s, we have now assigned an entirely new meaning to it. We've given it the power to tell us that, yes, this is another sign that my memory is going. I heard something so good the other day, and it said, "Hey, when you can't find your keys, you shouldn't worry about dementia. When you forget what your keys are for, then it's time to start working." And I thought that was so perfect because
Oh my
it's true.
God.
We will just say, whatever. It's no big deal when we're young because it's no big deal. But when we're older, it stops being no big deal because we're afraid. And with that fear, we put ourselves on a track of narrowing the way we think, of eliminating new experiences, of allowing our brain to fall into these well-worn pathways that limit its physiological ability to continue to grow and expand and learn. We never are too old to stop changing our brain, ever. And so I would point people to science. There is way too much science. We simply have bought into a concept that's scientifically unfounded.
So can I speak to that really quick? So
I would love
so
that.
if what I'm hearing you say, like the Memory Alive program, uh, will help you, it's going to help you with your memory, but also reduce cortisol levels, all this sort of stuff. Perhaps I don't want to speak too much to it, but I'm just thinking like, okay, the idea that it's too late or that's all BS, right? I love that.
It's
Thank you for
bullshit.
answering that. And I'm also going to say you probably being uh you have your masters and all this stuff. Like you've got the paperwork to prove it. You've done the study, you've worked in the business, you've created classes. You've been doing this for how long in your life?
Uh, 15 years, probably. I've been
Awesome.
working in, generally speaking, in the field.
Okay. And so you probably have studies that verify what you're talking about. Like if I said, "Hey, well, prove it." You could say, "Okay, give me 20 minutes. I'll be right back." And you could go through
Right.
all your stuff and be like, here's all the science data to validate what I just
Right.
am telling you. Yes?
Absolutely. And the reason I know this is that people like Deepak Chopra, who've written books about
Yeah.
the brain, point to all of this science. And so, I read a ton of books, and I'm pointed to these facts and these concepts and the science through neurologists and through physicians and through PhDs in multiple readings. So absolutely, simply through a list of books that I could recommend folks to that they could read and have this information validated.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for so much for that. So, 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 what's the pushback that somebody that would clearly benefit from this class, from your techniques, your system, like, okay, so they're like, all right, I get it. Like this illusion that it's too late, that my brain can't work anymore and it's going to degrade as I get older. That's all BS. Like, great. So they're like, yeah, this is awesome. I see it can help me. Like, what's from someone who's in that position? What's the thing that's like, I'm trying to think of how to say this. Like, is it their kids that are like, no, don't do it because you're going to be spending my inheritance? Or what's that? What, like, why else? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or are they like, well, my family's going to look at me like I'm dumb? Or like, what's the thing that keeps people from like diving in?
Well, and I think that the answer to that question is the answer to the same question. Why, when people know exercise is good for them, why don't they do it every day? If people know that eating well is going to change their life for the better, why don't they just do it, right? Why is it hard for us as humans to change our behavior? And I think it's much less a resistance that's born of an attitude, and more a resistance that's born of it's difficult to change our behavior. Behavior change is difficult, and it's because we're hardwired how we operate in our minds, and changing how we do things, especially the longer we've been on this planet, is hard. It's altering our ideas. Being open-minded about trying new things is challenging, and simply changing a routine of our daily life is hard as well.
Okay, fair enough. So it's like I don't have the time, or my lifestyle won't afford this.
Or I want to make the
financially, but
change.
what's that?
I want to make the change, but maybe not today. Or maybe it's not the right time for me. Or the same if someone's wanted to learn a new language or an instrument their whole life, but continues to put it off because there's going to be a better time. I don't think this is answering your question super specifically, but I think it has a lot more to do with the human challenge around change in behavior than it does with a specific resistance to this content or this information. I think it's like, why is it so hard? I work out twice and then I don't want to go to the gym again the next day, even though it made me feel so good. It's the same concept. It's just different.
Yeah. Fair enough. What's your favorite before and after of a person that's gone through your program?
I think that, I have a couple scenarios that are coming to my mind, but I think that specific feedback that I've gotten from some of my longer term students and participants has been that of the reflection on how much more they're enjoying the moments that they are creating, how much more they are focused on creating memories that they want to keep. And those are the moments that give me the chills, where I think, oh, that's it. That is it. Because who cares if we can remember a bunch of shitty moments that we've strung together, right? But if we are focused on being present and being aware and really valuing the creation of beautiful memories, that's it. What could be better than that? That's what I have loved.
It's beautiful. Do a couple people come to mind for you where you've seen that transition?
Yeah, a couple people have come to my mind where, they've come back and reflected on, hey, I had this experience with my grandkids, and I was, usually I come into it worried about this or concerned about that, but I did my breathing exercises before, and I knew I wanted to remember this. I knew I wanted to remember this moment. And I knew that if I wanted to be able to hold on to these memories, these are the things that I did. And I came into it with a heart full of gratitude, because we talk about the emotional state and how the emotional state helps us remember. So not only are you coming into circumstances and situations paying attention with a heart full of love, so that cognitively you can remember, you are coming into it fully present with a heart full of love. You're going to have a beautiful experience. And even if you don't remember it, oh, well, you had a beautiful experience. And that, for me, that's what matters. Why, even if we don't remember it in the long term, if we forget the person's name, but we remember how we felt when we met them, really what matters. But these concepts, these components that fill up our right nows with beauty, those are the same concepts and components that allow our brains to most effectively encode and recall information when we want it.
It's beautiful. Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question, if I may, another.
Of course.
Cool. So we've got integrative memory. People can go to your site, integrative memory, right now. What you have to offer currently is live classrooms, online class. What are you doing? Briefly.
Yes, live classes, online classes. I teach several classes a week over Zoom, and I have several workbooks that are in progress to support those. I also have a YouTube channel that has a series of meditations for memory, and that library of resources online is one that I am hoping to get strategic about expanding as well.
Fantastic. Where can people find these meditations on your YouTube channel? It's free for them right now?
It's free for them, yes. And if you just look up an integrative memory on YouTube, okay, it will pop up.
Fantastic. I will put that link in the show notes. So today your offer is somebody can, if someone's like, oh my God, Lisa, I want what you have to offer. They go to integrative memory, they sign up for a class, and they get what? They get a class for $50, or what are they getting right now?
Well, right now I offer an online community class that is donation based. So if they wanted to get a taste of this, every Thursday at 2, I teach an online community class, and that's free to the public. It's donation based, and that's a great way to get started and to get a taste of what I do offer on a regular basis. And so that's where I would send people to start. And I would love them to email me directly, because I would love to. I do offer 30-minute consultations for anyone who's interested in what I do or learning more. And I think that would be the best place to start. So then, we could have a one-on-one conversation, and I can understand what more specifically they're looking for.
Fantastic. So best email, which I will put in the show notes,
would be Lisa@chunkyseahorse.com.
Lisa@chunkyseahorse.com. Love it. And there's a whole story behind Chunky Seahorse, which is actually rather amazing, but we'll save it for another day. Just trust that typing in Chunky Seahorse, Lisa@Chunky, is actually
adequate.
Yeah, well, not only adequate, but
that'll get you there.
But an affirmation of all that you're creating and have created up to this point. If they want to go to your Thursday at 2 Pacific Standard Time community Zoom class, where do they do that? They
can email me. Yep. I have a newsletter sign up as well on my website. So I have a general newsletter, and then one that is focused on meal times for memory as well. And then also meditations for memory. And that can be subscribed to on my website. But the Zoom link for my for my Thursday 2 p.m. class. If they send me an email, I will just respond with the Zoom link for that class.
Fantastic. That's how we're going to make all this happen. I love it. So excited. And then I'm going to end with this, and we're going to let you get on to your day because I know you've got lots to do. This is like a standing document for you and I, right? To be like, all right, let's grow together. Let's help Lisa, grow, bring her gifts, your memory alive program. Like let's apply some entrepreneurial spirit to it even more and grow it and evergreen it and all these terms and help you create financial independence for you and your family and just really help a lot of people, right? And then it's an opportunity for me to be like, yeah, I have some ideas, some methods that you and I are going to work together with. And this is our beginning document where you and I can look back at this and go, wow, how far each of us have come, right?
Wow.
Wow. So we're both being very vulnerable for the masses right now. We both have a lot to offer. And I look forward to helping you grow, scale, refine, your story, your message, your offer, all this stuff. And very excited.
I'm super excited as well. Thank you.
Yes, fantastic. Is there anything that we missed that you want to add?
I think you are such a thorough interviewer. I think that we've probably hit all of those key components. No, but thank you very much for taking the time. And I'm really excited about trying to scale and expand. Fantastic.
Lisa, I love you. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing what you do. And everybody check back with us. Check back in with us as we grow, and we will be talking to Lisa throughout her journey and just watching you do all the fun stuff. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Misha. Okay. This was so fun.
Okay. Love you. I'm going to hit stop. Okay. We'll say a quick goodbye and we'll go on with the day. Okay.